Hey everybody, today we are going to be making a bat watercolor. We've been learning about bats while we've been reading Stella Luna this week, so we are going to do a fun craft to go along with that. You're going to need a thicker piece of paper, like a cardstock. You're going to need a Sharpie. You're going to need a smaller paintbrush. You're going to need some watercolors. You're going to need water and glue stick and some scissors. So after you've gathered all those things, you'll be ready to start. We are actually going to make this a 3D piece of art. So this paper we're working on will be our background, and then we're going to create a bat who is going to kind of hang off of our page. So to start our background, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our Sharpie and we're going to create the ground on our background. So we're just going to take our Sharpie and we're going to go along the bottom like that. And we're going to fill it in the best that we can, nice and solid. I'm going to do this pretty quickly to move on, but you're going to want to make sure that this is nice and dark and filled in with your Sharpie. It's going to almost be like a shadow or a silhouette in our drawing. And so you want it to be nice and thick and dark like a shadow would be. So we've got our ground. Like I said, mine's not the darkest. You're going to want to fill it in really good. And then here on the side, we're going to do an old creepy tree for one bat to hang in. And then, like I said, we're going to do another bat that's going to be more of a 3D bat. So to do our tree, we're going to start at the ground kind of out here a little bit because we're going to pull in like we're coming up the side of a tree. So we're going to pull in kind of like we're doing a C. See how we did a C like that? We're going to trace over it one more time, make it a little thicker. And then we are going to Y out. So we're going to have like a Y here at the end of our first branch we're creating. You're going to want to go over this probably 2 or 3 times to make it thicker. You can give it a little point there at the end like a limb would have. And then you want to come back down in here too to make this a little bit thicker. We're actually going to fill all this in so we don't have to worry about that a whole lot right now. Now we're going to make a top branch. So we're going to come back into where our trunk of our tree is, and we're going to pull it up higher, and we're going to come out further than this branch to have like a taller top limb. We're going to create kind of like an E here on this end. And like we did with our last one, we're going to want to go over it a couple times. You can make them different lengths, you know, that trees, some of them are long and curvy. And I like that. Then about halfway in, we're going to draw another little branch out and Y it out like that, like a V. We're going to come back in this one a couple times to make this thicker, like a limb on a tree. It wouldn't be super skinny if it's this tall. So we're going to want to make that nice and thick. And start to see the shape of our tree. And then we're just going to take from our trunk, we're just going to come up to the top of the page like we would know that there would be some other limbs, but this is all that we're going to be able to see on our drawing. So now that we've created those limbs, we need to fill in all this space back here with our Sharpie so we can get that silhouette like we did with the ground. So I'm just going to start up here at the top. And like I said, I'm doing this nice and quick so that you can see what I'm talking about, but you're going to want to make yours thick, solid, for that. nice silhouette, shadowy look. If you need to pause this so that you have time, go right ahead. Pause this video so you can get this filled in. Nice and dark. The last thing that we're going to do with our Sharpie is we're going to be adding a bat hanging upside down on one of our limbs. So we're going to use that lower limb, and we're going to come out here to the Y, and we're actually going to draw a V right underneath of one of those limbs. That's going to be the feet of our bat. Then we're going to draw a small oval and fill that in, because this again is going to be a shadowy silhouette of the bat. And he's hanging upside down, so we're going to do the 2 triangles on the top for ears and fill those in. So you know that bats nest, roost, hang upside down. Normally when bats hang upside down, their wings are wrapped around them, but so that anyone that sees our drawing knows that these are bats, we're going to have their wings open. So we're going to draw 2 lines out, and then we're actually going to just draw the letter M on both sides, and we're going to fill those in. So yes, bats would wrap themselves in their wings while they were roosting, but so we know that this is a bat and not just like a pine cone hanging from the tree. We're going to have his wings open as he hangs upside down from this tree. All right, so that is all for our Sharpie. We can set that to the side, and we're going to get out our watercolors and our brush. I forgot to mention a paper towel. You're going to want a paper towel and our water. So, since we read Stella Luna and we are smart kiddos, we know that bats are nocturnal. So we're going to need to make this a night scene for our bats to be living in. So we're going to start by getting our brush wet. The trick with this background is to keep your watercolor palette nice and wet. When it starts to dry out, it gives it a thicker coloring, and we want it to be a nice thin coloring for our background. So any orange that you have on your palette, that's what we're going to use first. We're going to swirl it, get a nice little puddle in there. I'm going to come over on this side, and we're going to draw a nice big circle with our orange like that. This is going to be our big full moon. I know that might be a little hard for you to see right now, but as I add more color, it's going to become more apparent to you. All right, so we're going to go over it. I actually got a darker orange this time. We're going to go over it, and we're going to kind of swirl in. Now with this moon, I want you to do circle strokes. I don't want you to do side-to-side strokes. Okay, I'm going to make sure my orange is nice and wet. And I'm going to repeat that circle motion again. Do it again. Circle, circle, circle. And now I'm going to go in with a yellow just to give our moon a little dimension and do that same swirl. Anywhere that I've got yellow or white still from the background of my page, I want to hit it. Circle motion. Circle motion, round and round. No side-to-side strokes. Round and round like that. Okay, till you get a nice full moon. Then we are going to rinse our brush out, dab a bit on our paper towel. So we get those oranges and yellows out of our brush. We're going to get it nice and wet again, and we're going to go into our black watercolor. The first thing I did on mine to make sure that my moon stands out was I went right around my moon with my black watercolor. Make sure that this is going to stay popping out. And we're not going to muddy those colors by painting on them. I'm going to go back into my black and I'm going to start side to side strokes. Now the tree is black, so if I make my watercolors too dark, it's not going to be seen. So we're going to just kind of almost push that watercolor around until it stops pushing. You can see how it's not coming out anymore. Then I'll go back into my palette. If it gets really dark like that, that means I need some more water. And I'm going to push this watercolor around on my paper. See how dark that is? That means I need to push it around a little bit more. It's not pushing. That means I need to go back in. That is really, really dark, so I probably need to get some more water in my black well. Push it, push it, push it. You don't want it too dark. Push it all around. I should have counted how many times I've dipped into my black because I'm not going to want to keep dipping. Like I said, we're going to want to push it until that black just isn't producing anymore. See, like that, I'm not getting any more black. That's when I want to go back into my well, and I want to make sure it's nice and full of water. Now I'm painting on a slope. You're not going to be doing that, so I got to make sure that this doesn't run into my moon, so I got to keep it pulled around. All right, there we go. That is step one of this project. Okay, we've got the background painted on nice thick cardstock. We are going to set it to the side so that it can dry. And we're going to work on the next step, which is our bat. So I'm going to need to get another piece of paper. If you have another piece of cardstock, that would be great. If not, normal paper will work as well. All right, we are going to need to get our Sharpie back out for this because we're going to be creating our 3D bat that's going to go on top of our background. So we are going to start our bat. We don't want it to be super big because it's going to be going kind of where our moon was on our first one. It's going to be kind of over top of that. So if I look, about the size of my hand is about how big I'm going to want my bat. Okay. So I'm going to start his body by making the letter U. We all know how to make a U. So we're going to make a U for our body. Right on top of that, we are going to make a circle for his head. We're going to do 2 ears, some little triangle little ears, 2 eyes, or 2 circles. And now for the eyes, we're going to color in everything black except this one little dot that's kind of pointing towards the ear. Okay. That exact same space on this eyeball, we're going to want to leave white too. So it kind of looks like he's looking in the same direction. We don't want his eyeballs going different directions. We're going to do a smile, but we're going to add our bat things down from the smile. What else does a bat need? It needs its wings. So we're going to draw 2 lines out. We want them to be pretty even. And then just like we did an M when our bat was upside down, if we flip an M over, that will give us a W. So we're going to draw down, up, up to make a W. Same thing on this side. Down, up. So we have a W on that side. Now we're going to come to this point in our W and we're going to bring it up to the top. Point in our W, we're going to bring it up to the top. Same thing on this side, up. Okay. That is how simple our bat is for this drawing, but we're going to want to paint him black as well. So we're going to get our watercolors out. We're going to get it in the black well nice and wet again. And we're going to cut him out. So if we get a little crazy, that is all right. The only thing we do not want to do is we don't want to paint on his fangs. and we don't want to paint on the whites of his eyes. So we're just going to go around those, pull it around until it just doesn't pull anymore. And that's when you want to go back into your well. Just like this. Simple, simple. We're going to let him have a minute to dry before we cut him out. So we're going to put him over to the side, and we're going to get, here we go. We're going to get our background back out because it has had a chance to dry now. And just so everything isn't black, we're going to add a little color to the background. We are going to use a little bit of purple because that's just a kind of a Halloween-y color. A lot of times we'll see like purplish skies when we're talking about Halloween. So we're going to grab some purple, and we're just going to right over top the background add some purple. Like I said, just so it's not all black. Yes, it's night. Yes, it's a bat. But we also wanted to have that Halloween feel. So we're going to add this purple tint coloring. And it may be hard to see on the camera, but once you start doing it, you'll realize what I'm talking about. Almost like where the white is on your background. Kind of takes that purple tone. And it just makes it look like not a normal night. And like the person, any viewers of our project would probably say, "Oh, I bet this is Halloween." Add that purple in. Don't get it on our moon. I don't know how well you can see that purple, but it is there. Just a faint, faint touch of purple. All right, now we are going to go back to our bat, and we are going to cut him out. I will tell you, if you cut too closely right here to the wings and the body, his wing will fall off. Not the end of the world, but you're going to have to pull out some tape or glue to repair him. So my suggestion is be very careful when you're cutting right here that you don't cut too close and chop a wing off. Okay? So I'm going to cut this out off camera just because this is a little tricky to do in front of the camera. And you can get your bat cut out. If he's still a little wet, be very careful because he'll tear. If you did this on a cardstock, it'll be a little easier. Mine is on regular paper, so it's a little soggy still. I'm going to get him all cut out so you can put him as our 3D piece onto our background. Like I said, be very careful because you will cut a wing off. I did it when I did this as a practice. And like I said, not the end of the world. Put it back on there. It was all right, but you're going to have a little moment of panic when the wing falls off in your lap, like I did. All right, so I've cut out my bat. He is all ready for our background. And we're going to place him kind of over here like he's flying in front of the moon. But I don't want to glue him flat. Like I said, I'm going to make him 3D. So all I'm going to do is on his torso, the U and the head, I'm going to add glue. So like I said, I'm going to do this off camera, and then I'll show you. So you're going to want to, on the back of his head, the white side, and the back of his body, you're going to want to add glue. And then you're going to, I think I'm going to have mine fly this way. I'm going to glue down his head and his body, but you can see his wings are still loose, okay? I wanted them to look as if he was flying. So what I did was I kind of folded my wings here in the middle, and I glued down the end or the tip of his wing. So I just put a little glue on my background, and then I stuck that tip of the wing into my glue, like that. So that gives it kind of a 3D. It's up away from the paper. And then I did the same thing over here. I put a little spot of glue, bent the wing up, glued down the tip, and that made it look almost like my bat was flying right over top of the moon. So here is our finished 3D bat. Make sure you find a good spot to display this, to share your artwork with your friends and family. And maybe that'll start up a conversation where you can tell them about a fact you've learned about bats, whether it be that they're nocturnal, or talk to them about the life cycle of a bat, talk to them about how there's only 3 species of bats who actually drink blood. Usually the blood of other animals, not humans, like we see in books and movies. And how most bats are fruitarians and they eat only fruit. So this is a piece of art, but it can also be a conversation starter where you can share some of your information you've learned while we've been reading and learning about Stellaluna. So I hope you enjoyed. I would love to see your projects. You can share them in the comments with me. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.
She said her battery was going to die, so...